Greg Pruitt here with the Idaho Dispatch, and it is March 25th, 2021, and this is going to be episode number 7 of the recap, where we basically just recap some of our more recent articles, kind of give you guys an update on what we are working on over here at the Idaho Dispatch. So I've got the articles pulled up, and before we get too deep into the live stream, we want to make sure that we give a shout out to our sponsors. We got two sponsors for this episode. One is CUNA Healthcare. So I'm just going to read a quote from their website. At CUNA Healthcare, we understand how important it is to have a primary care provider that is compassionate and understanding. Through years of experience and a compassion for total care, CUNA Healthcare is here to ensure that your health-related needs are met with a personal touch. We provide a local and caring answer to your healthcare needs. So if you're in the CUNA area, be sure to check out CUNA Healthcare. That's one of our sponsors. And then our other one for this episode is Alex Kincaid Law. Let's read here real quick. Alex Kincaid is a former prosecutor and elected district attorney with over 20 years of experience as a successful trial attorney and strategic planner. She has drafted thousands of estate and business plans for her clients. Alex is a nationally renowned public speaker and legal analyst for radio and television shows, including appearances on Fox News and Fox Business News. She has the rare distinction of successfully representing clients in both criminal and civil cases, having received the Top 10 Attorney Award from the National Criminal Defense Attorneys and named to the top 100 lawyers by the National Trial Lawyers Association. That's Alex Kincaid with Alex Kincaid Law. So that's both of our sponsors, and I could already hear people saying, Greg, why are you reading ads and doing ads? Well, guess what? Unlike the corporate media, we operate solely off of you guys helping us build the Idaho Dispatch. So if this is the type of news that you like, then this is what we need. We need advertisers, we need sponsors, we need you guys to help the Idaho Dispatch grow. As it stands right now, I don't get paid for all of the work that I do. I like to get you guys unbiased news and balanced news, and so we do everything we can to leave all that out. So if that's something you enjoy, if that's something you like, then please be sure to subscribe to the Idaho Dispatch. You can do it for $2.97 a month if you want, or there's some other options that you can do. But for less than 10 cents a day, you can support the Idaho Dispatch, and I think currently we have about 100 active subscribers to the Idaho Dispatch, and we need to significantly increase that so we can hire some other reporters and editors and do all that kind of stuff. Okay, so we're building this from the ground up, the grassroots up. That's how we are trying to do that, working with local advertisers to help us grow. Okay, with that said, let's recap some of the latest stories, and there's been a lot of questions about the last article that we posted about the Black Lives Matter Boise leader Terry Wilson, the second, I believe, who was arrested. The police said that he fled when they tried to arrest him, and so they've also ended up charging him with resisting arrest and possession of drugs, marijuana, and also drug paraphernalia. And the reason they were going to arrest him is in the press release that the Boise Police Department put out, they said that there was electronic measures that they had that showed that Mr. Wilson was allegedly one of the people who vandalized the statue, the Lincoln statue in Julia Davis Park. And I believe that both BLM Boise and another group, I'm trying to remember the name of the other group at the time, but took credit for the vandalism. There were stickers that were put on the statue, and there was chalk paint that was put on the statue, and there was also, the police said, feces that was found on the statue, human feces, I believe. But at the time when that story broke initially, I think both BLM Boise and the other group that was responsible both denied that they had anything to do with the feces. They said they put on the stickers, they put on the chalk paint, but they didn't put on the feces. So I'm not sure. That case is still ongoing. The police are still investigating everything, so we're not entirely sure, who is telling the truth there on where the human feces came on that was put on the Abraham Lincoln statue at Julia Davis Park. So the police did arrest Mr. Wilson eventually and took him into custody. He also did have a firearm in possession at the time. There has been no firearm charge In the state of Idaho, you can own a firearm without a permit. Okay, you can carry a firearm without a permit, so we don't. But I don't recall exactly. This is why we didn't put it in the article. If on a marijuana charge, if they can add a gun charge, possession of a firearm with illegal substances. So that's why we didn't put that in an article at the time because I wasn't sure, and I don't want to put anything in there that I'm not sure about. And quite frankly, a lot of times when I'm writing articles, I don't have a lot of time to sometimes get into more details that I would like to get into. So if somebody knows that in the comments, be sure to let me know, and I will check it out. When did the vandalism happen? So the vandalism happened on February 1st. As soon as Black History Month started, that is when it occurred. So the other thing that I saw in the comments and a lot of people were talking about was that is Mr. Wilson a professor at Boise State University? And so we got sent a lot of information about past articles that indicated he had some sort of ties to Boise State. I mean, there was pictures and stuff. So he went to Boise State University. He's listed in one of his profiles as an adjunct professor. Now, in talking with some people who did more research on this, not on behalf of Idaho Dispatch, but other research that got sent to us, we were told he is no longer, as of December, a adjunct professor at BSU. Okay, so to our knowledge, and that's why some people said, well, why didn't you list that he is a professor at BSU? Well, because we couldn't confirm that. Like we tried initially going into the BSU staff directory and doing some other stuff, and we found a lot of the same articles that you guys had sent us that said he was a professor, but we couldn't find anything that he was currently a professor. And because we couldn't confirm that, we left it out of the article. And now, at least we've been told that he is no longer employed or paid by BSU. You can also go to a website that the state of Idaho has out called Transparency Idaho, and that's a really good website if you want to look at what the state has paid money for. And at least for this year, we can't find anywhere where this guy received any money from the state. Okay, so anyway, that's kind of the wrap up of that story. If you guys have any questions, be sure to let me know. Let's see. So somebody says he had cancer, so maybe he stopped working for BSU. So I do know in one of his profiles he does say he is I believe he labeled it cancer victim, if I remember correctly. And so, I don't know. I don't know if that's why or not, and I can't say that definitively without just asking him whether or not. And we've reached out to BLM Boise a number of times. We did not for this specific article, but we've reached out to them a lot of times and never gotten a response. So that is in conjunction with on March 15th. So this would have been 10 days ago. BLM held a vigil at the Capitol in Boise for Breonna Taylor. A lot of you probably are somewhat familiar with that story, and out of Kentucky, where she was killed in a what they said was a no-knock raid. And so that was the 1 year anniversary of her death. So BLM went to the Capitol. We live streamed the entire event, and our goal with Idaho Dispatch is not just to pick one side and cover one event for one type of group or one particular group. We're just trying, anytime there's something where, something politically newsworthy, we're trying to do as much as we can to cover all of those issues, whether it's at the Capitol, whether it's in another city way up north or down south. We're just trying to cover some of these big news stories that are happening so everybody is aware of what is happening. And anytime you get a group of people at the Capitol where there's a police presence and protesters and counter protesters, no matter who's putting it on, we're going to try and be there for you guys to try and cover those stories. And so whether you agree with one particular group or not, our goal at Idaho Dispatch is not to be conservative or liberal. It's just to say, here is a news story, here are the facts that we can gather, here's the facts that we can confirm, and then you make your decision on what you want to believe about that story based on the facts, and then whatever both sides are saying. So we always typically, if we're trying to reach out to one side, we will always try to reach out to another side. So some of our stories, we don't reach out to either side. It's just like, hey, here's something that happened. And if we can, we'll start trying to reach out to both sides, but we're not going to just reach out to only one and not another. Okay. And so that's a really important distinction that we try to do at the Idaho Dispatch, is not to only tell one side of the story. We want to tell both sides of the story if we're going to reach out and start getting one side versus another. But a lot of times, on bills, you'll see on some of the articles with bills, we may only just say, "Here is what this bill does." Okay, and we'll just put that in there. But typically, we reach out to both sides, or we'll try to get quotes or find quotes from both sides. So BLM held the rally. And I mean, I don't, the best count that we could get when we were at the Breonna Taylor Vigil or rally or whatever, it was somewhere around 100, maybe a little bit more than 100 BLM supporters, and then I would say between around 30 and 40 counter protesters. A lot of them from a group called the Idaho Liberty Dogs, and from everything that we saw, it was peaceful. There were a few heated arguments, a few times where people were kind of getting fairly heated, and then the Idaho State Police, and there was probably, if I remember correctly, somewhere at least around 20 Idaho State police officers who were stationed in various parts of the Capitol grounds and across the street, trying to just stay out of the way. But they did come in a few times when some of the arguments got a little heated. And you could watch the entire thing. I think we streamed for like 2 hours, so you guys can watch anything from there to see what's going on. Okay, so nothing. There was nothing of any major note. I think that we were waiting on. We did at the BLM rally. There was 40. A list of names that was read by one of the speakers. Her name was Destiny. And it was 149 people that they said was killed by Idaho law enforcement since the year 2000. Okay, so we did confirm that it was from the year 2000 that they said that list came from. And from what they told us, from what Terry Wilson had told us, there was no parameters on who these people were. It was just 149 people that had been killed. So it could be somebody that was accidentally killed, or it could be a criminal that was in a shootout with the police. It could be a number of those. They said that it was just 149 people that were killed by police. It wasn't an exclusive list, so they weren't trying to say it was only 149 people that were, shot unarmed or anything like that. They didn't mention any of that. They said there was no parameters when they put together the list. Okay, so if you have any questions, I don't see. Okay. So somebody says, I'm pretty sure that there are no additional gun charges for possession of a gun and drugs, but there is an additional jail time and fines for the drug charge while in possession of drugs. Yeah. So, and I didn't think that there was, but we wanted to, that's why we didn't say either direction. We just said that he had possession of a firearm, which he is entirely allowed to do in the state of Idaho without a permit. Okay. Second, or I guess the third story. So those were two separate stories about BLM. Madison County, and for those that don't know, that's down in the Rexburg, Idaho area. Madison County has passed a Second Amendment sanctuary resolution. There has been we've covered a number of those stories as they have passed. There are, so some of the ones that we quoted in the article, Gooding, Hagerman, Bonneville County, and Bingham County have also passed Second Amendment sanctuary resolutions. And then you have some other places that have decided not to, such as Fairfield and Lincoln County. And so that is the Madison County that has passed a Second Amendment sanctuary resolution. And I believe there's a number of others that are also in the works as well. And so, again, with all these stories, we just try to reach out and cover as many stories across the state as we can. So if you guys ever have a news tip, something to send us, you can do it through the Facebook messaging system, or you can send a message to info@idahodispatch.com, info@idahodispatch.com, which is also, by the way, if you have a company that you want to advertise, you can send an email there as well, and we'd be happy to let you know what we're doing on advertising. All right. There's also another bill that we covered which was kind of a heated debate on the House floor, and that's House Bill 122, which is sponsored by Representative Chad Christensen, which would allow more teachers to carry firearms at schools. And so basically, what the bill says is that if a teacher has an enhanced carry permit, they have to, and they're going to carry on school grounds, they would have to notify the principal. The principal would notify law enforcement, and that way, according to the sponsor, if law enforcement were to come, they would know who might potentially be armed. So there was quite a heated debate on the House floor, and six. So the vote on House Bill 122, which is a school teacher carry bill, was 52-18, and six Republicans ended up voting with all the Democrats. All the Democrats opposed it, plus six Republicans. And I'm trying to remember if we listed in here. I might be able to tell you who. So Fred Wood would be one of the Republicans. Linda Hartgen would be one of the Republicans. Clark Kaufman. Lori Likely is another Republican. And Lance Clow is the other Republican. So it'd be Clow, Kaufman, Likely. Sorry, I lost my. Oh, Gibbs and Gibbs. I'm sorry, Gibbs as well. So Wood, Likely, Kaufman, Hartgen, Clow, and then Gibbs. So those will be your six Republicans who join with the Democrats in opposing House Bill 122, which I believe is currently in the House State Affairs Committee. If you guys haven't seen, by the way, we have an update article that we try to put out. So we just put out another one, and it won't be updated for a while since the legislature is out of session until April 6th. Okay, so until April 6th, and then probably we'll wait another week just because there might not be any movement for a few days. Is update articles. Any bill that we have written about, we have an entire list that you guys can go check and stay updated on so you know where those bills are at currently. And there obviously hasn't been very many changes since a lot of the bills are in committees and now the legislature has recessed. There were six lawmakers that came down with at least tests of a positive COVID. Some had symptoms, some I believe did not. And so they shut down the Capitol for a couple weeks, and they will come back on April 6th and then resume. And as far as we are told, everything is still open. So when they come back, all bills are still possible to be passed. They have education stuff and transportation stuff that they're still working on. So there's quite a bit of stuff that needs to be worked on still before they sign EDI, which means they close it up for the year. And we're just not sure. I mean, how long the session is going to go at this point, because typically they are done sometime around the end of March, and now we're going to go all the way into April 6th, and it's probably going to continue. I would imagine for several weeks. Hey, and then the last one that we wanted to cover was something we just posted this morning, and that is that Lewiston, the city of Lewiston, has rescinded its mask mandate on a 4-3 vote, which is also how it was passed, by the way. And the mayor was a tie-breaking vote back in November when Lewiston passed the mask mandate. There was another, pretty lengthy discussion about it again, and this time on a 4-3 vote, they decided to end their mask mandate, which I believe was due to end in April, and they decided to end it a little bit early. So anyway, with that being said, that is everything that we have covered here in the last few weeks. We appreciate you guys tuning in today. Again, please be sure to sign up. If you guys like the reporting that we're doing, I can't say enough how much we appreciate all the support that you guys have given us. And if having news media that where you're not getting into much of the personal bias, like we literally just read an article this morning from the Lewiston Morning Tribune, where one of the reporters put out his own op-ed on the Lewiston Morning Tribune, blasting a bunch of people, a bunch of lawmakers, and I just sat there and thought, why on your own website. I mean, if this guy has his own opinion, nobody cares. That's fine. But this is one of their reporters on their news site attacking lawmakers. And so to me, I just don't understand that. If you have your own personal opinions, put it on your own page or whatever. But if that's, these guys all, this is the Idaho Dispatch is going to be the only media that you're going to get where it's not just full of hatred for one side or the other. It's just, here is a story, here's what happened, and this is your opportunity to help something grow. If you're sick and tired of the mainstream media, then we live in a capitalist country, so we can create something different, and that's the goal with that dispatch, is to create something that you guys can appreciate and you can go to, and you're not going to get a bunch of spin. You're going to get both sides of the story, and I'm going to leave out all of my personal opinions from the articles, to the best of my ability. And if you ever see something in there, you're like, Greg, that's your opinion, then be sure to let me know. And because our goal is always to leave that stuff out. So $297 a month. If that's too much, we understand. It can be kind of tight right now, but at the very least, it's $297, and then we have a higher one that's $997. We're talking about doing some extra stuff for those who are doing the higher tiered subscription thing. So yes, there are going to be ads. Sorry about that. You're going to have to deal with the ads because until we can grow this thing and we have 100,000 monthly subscribers, we're going to need that revenue to help keep creating things, to hopefully at some point actually pay some reporters and editors and all that kind of stuff. So we got to continue to grow the Idaho Dispatch, and that can only happen through you guys. If we don't continue the growth at some point, I'm just physically not going to be able to keep going the way that I'm going when I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning writing articles for you guys to make sure we have some content on the website. So with that, we'd love to have you guys subscribe to Idaho Dispatch, idahodispatch.com/subscribe. Thank you again to Alex Kincaid Law and CUNA Healthcare for your ads. Oh, by the way, one more thing on ads. We also are running Google ads right now, okay, because that kind of helps pay for some of the bills that we have. We don't control the Google ads. We don't control what's on them. So some people have sent stuff in like, hey, why are you running this ad on here? Well, we don't control those ads. You can, there are some ways that we try to go in and try to keep stuff somewhat neutral. But for the most part, the ads that are embedded in the article, those are our ads. Okay, and those are the ones that we have control over, so to speak. But the Google ads that pop up on the sides and all that stuff, we don't have any control over that. So anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate everything that you do to support the Idaho Dispatch, and we will see you next time on the recap.